going on, guys? How's you guys' day going? Hope you're having a good day. My day's okay. Hasn't really started yet. Not too bad, not too good. Thank you for asking. I often see truth being spoken of as if it were a weapon, as if it were something to wield, as a possession. And I find it so ironic because I think that we all know truth is supposed to bring you peace. Truth is supposed to be something that, the Christians would say sets you free. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, Jesus says, the truth shall set you free. You don't have to be spiritual. However, I find it very interesting why he says, sets you free. Free from what? Setting us free from what? And the only conclusion that I can come to is ourselves. And so, I don't believe that truth is something that adds. I believe that we become less. It's not something that makes you less than in terms of value, but rather you're making room for what is. You see, we only live in either truth or illusion. There is no other way to live. You either live in what is or what a false reality would look like. And so it's very, very easy to believe that we know truth, or rather, for most people, have truth, as if it were a possession, have truth because they are only dealing with the circumstances of illusion, right? You'll see it very often with left, meaning politics, by the way, left versus right, good versus evil. I think of Death Note, which I know is a very extreme example. If you haven't watched that show, I highly suggest you do, and I won't spoil it. But that show deals with the question of good and evil, right? And so the main character goes through, a very childish understanding of good and evil. That's all I'll say. So anyways, we're told that truth brings closure, it brings awareness. And it does. It does bring those things. There's no denying that. But it never makes you feel whole, does it? It never makes you feel complete. And I believe that, as I made the previous point, that's not the way it's supposed to be. And don't get me wrong, you can feel good and you can feel, almost like a righteous sense of judgment, And I'm sure it's very frustrating when you're trying to have a conversation about something that you believe to be axiomatically true and somebody's arguing with you about it, right? That's going to frustrate you. But that's not what we're seeing in today's day and age. We're not seeing frustration. We're seeing lividness. We're seeing hostility, hubris even. And it cannot be truth that is causing these people to act this way and feel this way. And I feel as if those who have actually discovered truth, are feeling as if it is a heaviness. And I don't mean heaviness as a burden or something that puts you down, like as if it's something like that, causes you to, hate your life. I mean, it can for sure. But, truth that brings you peace, at least, it will make you feel heavy, not, like I said, because of the burden, but because that is the cost of truth. That is what is required of you as, a purification to be able to be, harmonized with truth. When I say the word harmonized, it doesn't just mean happiness. Harmony does not necessarily mean all things, joyful. That's the that's the part we miss, isn't it? Is that we always seem to think that all things that are true are joyful, and all things that are of truth will bring a sense of completion, right? But that's not the case. That's not the case at all. It's quite the opposite, in fact. And I feel as if what I see in today's day and age is not truth, it's fear. People are afraid, very, very, very afraid of a lot of things, but more so than anything of ourselves. And not, in the idealistic way where, like if you've ever seen the movie Coach Carter, at the end of the movie, one of the characters uses a quote, and it's a very beautiful quote, and it talks about how people are so afraid of their own success that they, rather not do anything at all. And I bring that up, not saying that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the opposite of that. People are afraid of the acceptance that comes with truth. Because truth is not a tool. It is not a weapon. It is not something that is fired upon things and people. It is a truth accepted. Truth accepted. It's a place of being accepted, so to speak. And so I wonder what it is we have to do to set ourselves free. Right? Because clearly things aren't working. Clearly things are not going the way that we intend them to. And so it's sad. It's very, very sad. Because, you watch debates now. You watch people debate, and they so passionately believe in the truth that they speak of, and yet they themselves are anything but happy or aligned, right? And when I say aligned, I mean aligned with what is, not what with we think is. It makes me think of another verse from the Bible, and I believe it's 2 Timothy 3:7, and it goes, "Always learning, but never coming to the knowledge of truth." And again, you don't have to be spiritual, but basically what that means is that you can learn all that you want, and you can soak up, like a sponge, you can soak up as much information and as much knowledge as you want and never know the truth. And it sounds a lot like Socrates too. In the same book that I showed in my previous video, Theaetetus. If you haven't read that book, I highly suggest you do. Socrates speaks of the same thing. And I'm paraphrasing. I'm too lazy to go grab the book. But I believe he says something along the lines of, if a man is capable to have learnt something and not known it, and not know what it is, right? That he is, saying that he has learned. And so I know how hard it is to try to articulate these things, and I know how difficult it can be, especially in a time like this, for people to try to have these conversations, right? Because people aren't interested in anything genuine, anymore. They would rather play gotcha with you. And so I hope this video reaches those people who know what I'm talking about, right? Because what is understood does not need to be explained. I really believe that this video will find those people who understand exactly what it is I'm talking about. And so, hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for watching.